Have you ever been woken up in the middle of the night with your leg twisted in pain, muscles tight as a drum, and you're just lying there, gasping and rubbing, waiting for it to ease off? If so, you're not alone. That sudden jolt, sharp, unexpected, and downright exhausting, can leave you feeling frustrated and confused. But what if I told you that many of those painful cramps didn't just come out of nowhere? That your body might have been trying to warn you days, even weeks before that cramp ever hit? The trouble is, most of us miss the signs. And when you're over 60, those signs become even more important to pay attention to. Now, people think muscle cramps just happen from overuse or dehydration, and sure, sometimes that's true. But for many seniors, the causes are a bit sneakier. They build up slowly, quietly, until one day, snap, you're stuck clutching your calf at AM, wondering what you did wrong. So today, we're going to talk about 3 hidden signs your body might be giving you before those cramps strike. They're easy to miss, but once you know what to look for, you can stop them in their tracks without needing pills or fancy treatments. And I promise, by the end of this, you'll feel more in control of your body, not the other way around. Let's start with something that seems innocent at first: fatigue. I'm not talking about being tired after gardening or walking around the block. I'm talking about that deep, dragging tiredness in your legs or arms that doesn't quite make sense. Like, you've only been up for 2 hours, and already you're looking for a place to sit down. That kind of fatigue might be your muscles running on empty, literally. As we get older, our bodies don't store and use minerals like magnesium and potassium as efficiently as they used to. These are the exact minerals your muscles need to contract and relax smoothly. Without enough of them, your muscles start misfiring. At first, it feels like low energy, then weakness, and then, boom, a cramp. Now here's where it gets interesting. That kind of fatigue often creeps in after certain meals. Ever notice your legs feel heavier after eating salty takeout or processed food? That's not a coincidence. High sodium throws off your mineral balance even more. It pulls water into your bloodstream and flushes out those helpful minerals, leaving your muscles twitchy and prone to spasms. So, if you're feeling sluggish after meals, that's not just age, it's your body waving a red flag. Now, let's talk about another warning sign that almost no one talks about: twitching. You might notice your eyelid fluttering for no reason, or a little jump in your thigh muscle while you're sitting and watching TV. Most people laugh it off. Oh, just a little spasm. But these tiny twitches, especially if they're happening regularly, could be your nervous system struggling to keep your muscles in check. It's like your body saying, hey, something's off here. The reason this happens more often after 60 is because the nerve endings that control our muscles become a bit more sensitive with age. Even a small deficiency in magnesium, calcium, or vitamin D can cause those nerves to fire when they shouldn't. And when they do, you get that flutter, that twinge, and if the issue gets worse, a full-on cramp. What can make this even more frustrating is that those twitches often happen when you're relaxed on the couch, in bed, even just sitting at the kitchen table. That's when your muscles are supposed to be at rest. But instead, they're reacting to an imbalance. And if it's happening more than once or twice a week, it's definitely something to pay attention to. And here's something I want you to hear loud and clear. It's not just about getting older. Yes, our bodies change, but that doesn't mean we have to live with cramps, twitches, and fatigue. You deserve to feel strong, rested, and pain-free no matter your age. Let's move on to one last warning sign that often flies under the radar: changes in how you walk or stand. I know that might sound strange. After all, everyone's gait changes a bit with time. But I'm talking about subtle shifts like feeling a little off balance when you first get up in the morning, or needing to shake out your legs before you can walk comfortably. Sometimes, you might even find yourself favoring one leg more than the other without realizing it. These shifts often happen because your muscles are tensing up when they shouldn't. Instead of relaxing properly, they hold on tight. That makes it harder to move smoothly. And over time, your body adjusts your posture to compensate. And what happens when your muscles stay tight for too long? You guessed it. A cramp is right around the corner. One woman I spoke to, a retired teacher named Linda from Ontario, told me she thought her balance issues were just age catching up with her. But when she started getting cramps every other night, she realized something wasn't right. Turns out, her daily walk was causing tiny muscle strains because of the way she shifted her weight to one side. A few simple changes in posture and adding some stretching before bed made a world of difference. So if your steps feel a little off lately, or you're standing differently without meaning to, don't ignore it. That might be your muscles trying to get your attention before a cramp strikes. Now that we've uncovered some of these subtle red flags, fatigue, twitching, and posture changes, it's clear that muscle cramps aren't just nighttime nuisances. They're messengers. They're clues. And the sooner we listen to what our bodies are trying to tell us, the sooner we can respond with the care, the nourishment, and the movement our muscles are asking for. Now, let's take this a little deeper. We've talked about fatigue, twitches, and subtle posture shifts, things many people brush off as just getting older. But there's something else that plays a big role in all of this, and it often hides in plain sight: your water intake. I know you've heard about drinking more water 100 times before, but hear me out, because this isn't about just sipping more water for the sake of it. As we age, our body's ability to recognize thirst changes. You might not feel thirsty, but that doesn't mean your muscles aren't drying out like a sponge left in the sun. And when muscles don't have enough fluid, they stiffen up, misfire, and eventually, they cramp. Here's the tricky part. The early warning signs of mild dehydration often don't show up as thirst. They show up as something else entirely, like headaches, dry mouth, or even irritability. But here's the sign that most people miss. If your muscles feel tight or stiff before you even start exercising or moving, that could be your body's way of saying, "Hey, I need water." One gentleman I spoke with, George, from Manchester, shared how he kept getting cramps during his afternoon walks. He thought it was his shoes, or maybe his stride. But the real issue? He was only drinking tea and coffee all day. Once he added a full glass of water in the morning and another in the afternoon, the cramps eased up like magic. That's how powerful hydration can be, especially when you're over 60. Now, let's talk about medications. This is one area that catches so many people by surprise. You might be taking a prescription for high blood pressure, cholesterol, or even something as common as a diuretic. But what many seniors don't realize is that these medications can drain the very nutrients your muscles depend on. They flush out potassium, magnesium, or sodium, sometimes all three. And when that happens, cramps become much more likely. The tough part is, it's not always easy to connect the dots. You might start a new medication and not feel any side effects for weeks. Then suddenly, your calf locks up in the middle of dinner, or your foot cramps while you're reading in bed. That's because these nutrient levels can drop gradually. It's like a slow leak in a tire. You don't notice at first, but eventually, it causes trouble. Now, I'm not saying you should stop any medication. Absolutely not. But it's worth talking to your doctor or pharmacist if you've noticed more frequent cramps since starting a new prescription. Sometimes, they can recommend a supplement, a small dosage adjustment, or simply suggest adding more potassium-rich foods to your diet like bananas, spinach, or even sweet potatoes. Small changes, big results. Speaking of food, let's not overlook one more hidden trigger that's quietly affecting many seniors: blood sugar swings. You don't have to be diabetic for this to matter. When your blood sugar dips to low, especially if you've skipped a meal or gone too long without a snack, it can throw your entire system off. And your muscles are often the first to notice. Low blood sugar can make you shaky. Yes, but it can also cause muscle tightness and spasms. Why? Because your muscles aren't getting the steady fuel they need to function properly. Without enough glucose, your nervous system goes into overdrive, and cramps can sneak in right behind. This is especially common at night. Many seniors don't eat much in the evening, or they stop eating hours before bed. By the time 2 a.m. rolls around, their blood sugar is low, their electrolyte balance is off, and boom, a leg cramp wakes them up from a deep sleep. But the solution isn't complicated. A small evening snack, something with a bit of protein and complex carbs, like a slice of whole grain toast with peanut butter or a handful of almonds and a few apple slices can help keep your muscles happy while you sleep. It's not about big meals. It's about smart fuel at the right time. All of these factors, hydration, medication side effects, blood sugar drops, can sneak up on you. They're not obvious like a stubbed toe or a pulled muscle. They're more like whispers from your body, trying to tell you something before the real pain shows up. And when you're in your 60s, 70 seconds, or even 80 seconds, your body's whispers are worth listening to. It's easy to brush off cramps as just something that happens, but the truth is, your muscles are incredibly responsive. They give you clues. They talk to you in their own way. And when you start tuning into those messages, you can prevent so much discomfort before it ever begins. I once heard a lovely quote that stuck with me. The body keeps the score. Every skipped meal, every sleepless night, every time we forget to drink water, it all adds up. But here's the good news. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. Just making small, intentional changes can create big improvements. You start drinking that extra glass of water. You have a light snack before bed. You check with your doctor about your medications. And slowly, those cramps stop showing up. That's not just chance. That's you taking back control. Now that we've uncovered some of the most overlooked triggers like hydration, medications, and blood sugar swings, it's time to talk about what you can do to break the cramp cycle for good. Because awareness is only half the battle. The real magic happens when you take that knowledge and turn it into action. And you don't need to become a nutritionist or start running marathons to do it. In fact, one of the most powerful things you can do is incredibly simple. Stretching. Not aggressive, painful stretching, but slow, gentle movements that tell your muscles, you're safe. You can relax. You see, your muscles thrive on movement. But when we sit for long periods, which many of us do, especially in retirement, they become short and tight. And when a muscle is tight for too long, it's far more likely to cramp. Think of it like a garden hose that's been left in a loop under the sun. It stiffens. It resists. Then, when you suddenly turn on the water, bam, it jerks and twists. That's exactly what your muscles are doing when you go from stillness to movement to fast. But just 5 to 10 minutes of light stretching, especially before bed, can work wonders. Calf stretches, gentle hamstring stretches while seated, even simple ankle circles. These small habits train your muscles to stay loose and limber. And when your muscles feel safe and supported, they don't seize up in protest. One viewer from Florida wrote in to say her nighttime cramps disappeared entirely after she started stretching her calves against the wall for just 30 seconds before climbing into bed. That's it. No expensive therapy. No fancy tools. Just consistency. And speaking of nighttime, let's talk briefly about your sleep position. Most people don't realize this, but the way you sleep can actually contribute to cramps, especially if you lie in a way that shortens certain muscles for hours at a time. Sleeping with your toes pointed, for example, can tighten your calf muscles. And once they've been tight for hours, it doesn't take much to trigger a cramp. Try sleeping with your feet slightly flexed instead. You can even tuck a small rolled towel at the end of your bed to prevent your feet from pointing downward during the night. These little adjustments might feel odd at first, but your muscles will thank you. Another powerful way to support your body is through your diet. And don't worry, we're not talking about going gluten-free or giving up all your favorites. It's more about adding in the right things than taking things away. Think about foods that support muscle health, ones rich in magnesium, potassium, calcium, and vitamin D. Leafy greens like spinach and kale, beans, avocados, bananas, yogurt, almonds. These aren't just good for your heart and bones. They're muscle heroes too. And if you're not sure you're getting enough of these nutrients through food, it's perfectly okay to ask your doctor about safe supplements. But food should always come first when possible, because your body recognizes and uses nutrients from food more efficiently than from pills. Now, let's bring this all together with one more piece of the puzzle: your mindset. I know that might sound unrelated, but stay with me here. When you experience something over and over again like leg cramps, it's easy to start feeling powerless, like your body is doing something to you instead of working with you. And that feeling, that mindset, it can make everything worse, because stress, frustration, and tension actually increase the likelihood of cramps. Your muscles are directly connected to your nervous system. If your mind is tense, your body follows. But when you remind yourself that you do have control, that you can make changes, even small ones, you give your muscles the permission to relax. I want you to know this: you are not fragile. You are not broken. Your body may have changed over the years, yes, but it's still wise, responsive, and capable of healing. And when you start to listen to it more closely, you'll be amazed at how it responds. So if you've been dealing with muscle cramps, whether they hit during the day, interrupt your sleep, or surprise you while you're just going about your routine, I hope you feel more empowered now. You've learned to spot the quiet warning signs. You know what to adjust, what to look out for, and what small steps you can take, starting today. And please, don't keep this knowledge to yourself. If you've got a friend, a neighbor, or a loved one who's been dealing with the same thing, share this with them. Sometimes all it takes is one conversation to change someone's life for the better. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced one of these hidden signs? What's worked for you to ease your cramps? Drop a comment below. I read every one, and I know others in this community will benefit from your experience too. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future health tips that help you feel your best at every age. Here's to fewer cramps, better sleep, and stronger days ahead. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way.